What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the College Hoops 2K Legacy Mode series featuring the legendary Coach Carter. Last episode, Coach Ken Carter and his troops here at UT-Martin, they wrapped up Season 4 in pretty depressing fashion as Dwight Easley and Marcus Saunders, their Ohio Valley Conference careers did not finish as a storybook ending as we all might have expected, as the Skyhawks were straight up outclassed by Morehead State and lost in the second round of the conference playoffs, and thus ultimately fell short of their second straight NCAA tournament appearance. But the season is not lost just yet, as the 22-win UT-Martin Skyhawks have been invited to the NIT tournament, and we'll be jumping into the first game of that today. A lot of pressure going into this tournament, as we all know. The next game that we lose will signify the end of Dwight Easley's and Marcus Saunders' historic UT-Martin careers, as these two young men have almost single-handedly changed the makeup of this program. And not only that, but fellow seniors Davion Baez and Gene Schofield are also playing to keep their careers alive, as those four seniors are the last players from Coach Carter's Year 1 original OG roster. And even though we don't have a shot to make it 2 straight seasons of March Madness basketball, you guys always do seem to like the CPU versus CPU gameplay, so before we tip off the NIT, we'll sit courtside for the OVC Championship between Morehead State and Samford to find out the Ohio Valley's representative for the March Madness tournament here in Year 4. There's a lot of factors that make this game interesting. For one, these are two teams that UT-Martin, for whatever reason, just couldn't beat this season. The Skyhawks went a combined 0-5 against these two clubs, 2 losses against Samford, and 3 losses against Morehead State. Another factor is this difference in styles of play. We've seen it firsthand. Morehead, they love to run and gun, they share the ball, and their 2 top scorers are their starting front court of CJ DeFairs and Justin Slater, and they surround those 2 big fellas with multiple upperclassmen who shoot lights out from 3. Meanwhile, Samford on the other side of the spectrum, so unique in their attack, they try to make each possession their best possession, as they really do a good job taking care of the ball, and they have the second-ranked defense, no, not in the conference, but in the entire nation at 56.8 points per game allowed nightly. It's the old-fashioned offense versus defensive battle here tonight, and lastly, I'm expecting a very crisp, sound, and fundamentally well-played game here tonight, as we'll most likely see 14 seniors total receiving playing time. Samford has 8 seniors in their rotation, and Morehead State has 6, as these two clubs are, by far, the most 2 experienced teams across the entire Ohio Valley. So let's get into it tonight. Samford comes up short on their first possession as 7'1" junior Seneca Lopez wins the tip for the Bulldogs. Meanwhile, Morehead State having no problems figuring out Samford's patented 2-3 zone that we've seen give UT-Martin so much trouble over the recent years. And now they'll go inside. Here is Kevin Schiller, as Morehead State continues to work the ball around, very methodical attack as they work it inside. Lopez will, off of the second effort, put this one in to give the Samford Bulldogs their first basket. As Lopez, if he's not up there with some of the best big men in the conference, he might be the best, as he's actually met with a double team there, coughs it up, and on the other end, look at the teamwork. Derek Goated finds DeMonte Harper inside, as CJ DeFairs and Justin Slater, they're going to try to make it as hard as they can for Lopez to operate here tonight. 6-4 game, Morehead State up, as here is Goated giving this one off to DeMonte Harper, who has a quick 7 points. Harper has been a huge success story, much like the one we've seen from Davion Baez on our side of things, a former walk-on who averages 8 points per game on the year, and now Seneca Lopez has to check out because he has an early foul, and immediately you're seeing the impact that Seneca Lopez has on this team. Slater records a 3-point play, soaring up over the defense with no Lopez out on the floor, and meanwhile Morehead State continues to operate without issue. There is Langford, and that is Johnny Langford. We've seen him rip us apart multiple times on the year. His second field goal, and now here's TJ Clark operating with a 13-point lead already. And now we see going inside. This is how Morehead State beats you. They'll beat you on the perimeter, and then they'll go inside with their many talented big men. There's the freshman TJ De La Cruz getting on the board as he teams up with Slater in the post. And there's Justin Slater putting the ball on the deck and scoring. Slater with 7 points, and Morehead State up by 15 all of a sudden, and now coughing up the ball. There is Johnny Langford again from 15 feet, uncontested, off of the quick transition basket, 29-15, as the number 1 overall seed in the conference is being upstaged right now so far. Finally forcing a stop though, Morehead State is red hot, but here's Jared Marino, no good there. But Kevin Schiller on the glass, he'll put that one in. As Schiller, another upperclassman, as he's one of the best big men off the bench across the entire conference. He's very important on this Morehead State team. Now Corey Womack, he'll get shook there by Derek Goaded, and Goaded, the sophomore, will draw the foul there. 2 free throws for him, and as he looks to extend the lead here for the Golden Eagles of Morehead. And Derek Goaded, actually the only underclassman in either starting 5 tonight for both these teams. That just shows you how much experience these 2 clubs have. And there is CJ DeFairs off the missed free throw. Goaded only knocked down 1 of 2, but DeFairs makes that a 3-point possession for the Eagles. Inexcusable there, relinquishing an offensive rebound on a missed free throw as Morehead State to go back inside. TJ De La Cruz for his second field goal of the night. Now a 15-point lead for the Golden Eagles. Now we're under 4.5 left to play. Still a 15-point lead as Goaded goes inside, back out to Langford, who's been deadly tonight. Up to 11 points is the senior, as Johnny Langford. He has still not missed a shot here as we reach the end of the first half, as Matt Payne catches and fires. Finally, I say his name. Matt Payne, the leading scorer for Samford on the year at a hair under 17 points per game. And he's actually playing a little bit dinged up tonight, but still, I don't think any of us expected him to not have a field goal until 5 seconds left to go in the first half, and it immediately gets canceled out by Phil Barton, the 6th man for Morehead State. Wow, what a showing by Morehead State, 48-30, as they're already near the points per game mark that Samford allows nightly at 57 points per game a night. Once again, the 2nd best defense in the entire nation. Hopefully we see here in the second half some more fight as Kyle Jeter records a steal and will give it up to Jared Marino. Kyle Jeter, the former JUCO transfer, his first steal, his 4th assist. And Marino's now up to 11 points. He was Samford's top scorer there in the first half, and then he returns the favor to Kyle Jeter as he makes a jump shot there. Nice pass from Marino going across the key with that assist. And Jeter, with that shot, he gives Samford the ability, with a stop and a score, to dwindle this lead down to single figures, as we still have a lot of time to go here in this game. A missed shot there from DeMonte Harper. Finally, it looks like Morehead State's starting to cool off a bit. As here is Marino, quick fire as he knocks that one down. 16 points for the senior. And now we're seeing Morehead State on the ropes a little bit. Samford's starting to adjust. They're starting to go a little bit more up-tempo, as now Kyle Jeter pokes that one away from TJ Clark, and he'll finish with his offhand. Alright, some fight now from Samford as they look to make this championship game a little bit more competitive, as Kyle Jeter goes the distance there with a scoop and score, but there is DeMonte Harper with a 3. So, the former walk-on up to 18 points. We saw him really destroy UT-Martin a few times this season, and not too long after, Kyle Jeter records assist number 7 on the night. Marino up to 19 points. He has been so key tonight, keeping Samford in the game. It's been a while since we heard from Seneca Lopez in this game, and now Harper has eclipsed 20 points on the ball game. Samford's actually playing a really good second half in this ball game, but you're seeing firsthand why Morehead State's just so deadly. Man, another 3 there by Langford, and Samford just straight up ran out of time. They had a really good response here in the second half, but when you're down by 18 at the half, man, you're not doing yourself any favors. Morehead State, the Ohio Valley Conference champions, will move on to March Madness, 84-78. So Morehead State does have a chance. I mean, depending on what seed they are, they do have a pretty good opportunity to make some noise here in the tournament. We've seen it once already. They do have a win in March Madness in this series. I forget who they beat, but I remember back in year 1, they won the tournament, so this is their second time in March Madness. So Morehead State continues to be a very solid program here in the OVC. Now moving on to the NIT bracket, as UT-Martin, coming from the OVC, they're not a very high seed here in the NIT. The NIT is made up of 4 regions of 8 teams apiece, and they were awarded the 6th seed here in this region. And looking at the other teams that participated, I went through and wrote down the best teams that couldn't make it in March Madness in year 4, and included we see Kentucky. Actually, they're the number 1 overall seed here in the NIT, along with Villanova. We see Ole Miss, Northern Iowa, Creighton's also on this list. And in the last region, the number 1 overall seed here in the 4th regional, we see West Virginia, Minnesota, St. Bonaventure, and Memphis. They're the 4th seed here in this region, looking to do some damage. But switching the scope back to our matchup, we have the 3-seeded St. Joseph Hawks, one of the better teams that couldn't earn a spot in March Madness this season. If they beat us tonight, it'll make it 20 wins on the season for the Hawks. And they're a team that reminds me actually a lot of Samford, I'm not going to lie to you. The Atlantic 10 Conference is no joke. If you have 19 wins in that division, then you know you're a pretty good ball club. And St. Joe's, like I was saying, they do remind me a lot of Samford. They're letting scoring by senior 6'10" forward JT Pereira from Fort Myers, Florida. And they really like to make teams frustrated. They will bang you, they will be physical. They're met with 2 very strong power posts in Mike Remmers and Breland Kitmond. A lot of experience on this team. And the one thing that they do differ with compared to Samford is that Samford is more conventional on defense. Meanwhile, St. Joe's, they will try to make teams uncomfortable with their playmaking ability, trying to force turnovers and getting up right in your grill when you pass the half-court line. So, one more loss, and that'll end the careers of Marcus Saunders, Dwight Easley, Gene Schofield, and Davion Baez. You guys know what's at stake here. I don't gotta say it any longer. Let's go down to Syracuse, New York, where the Carrier Dome hosts the NIT Tournament. The 3-seeded St. Joe's Hawks will play against the 6-seeded UT-Martin Skyhawks, and I'm very excited for this game. It's nice to at least have some type of postseason basketball. Even if it is the NIT and not March Madness, you'll continue to play as long as you can. No complaints for any of the UT-Martin guys, as Chris Fay will lose the jump ball to Breland Kitman, as Devin Johnson, the point guard, who actually leads the A10 in assists per game at 7.5 per night, will set things up for the Hawks, and they will score, but on their second possession coming up short, Luke Lawton will then have his pocket picked, and you're seeing the very good defensive abilities here by the St. Joe's Hawks as we're approaching 2 minutes into the ball game, and UT-Martin still with no baskets. They've missed 2 shots and then turned the ball over on their 3rd possession. Meanwhile, JT Pereira averaging 15.5 points per game, the senior, standing at 6'10". He is a tough guard, tough matchup for Luke Lawton here tonight. 5-0 game, as now we're setting up a play for Dwight Easley, a hook screen here off the inbound, as Easley's got a lane as we're trying to take advantage of JT Pereira, who surprisingly is actually the weakest on-ball defender ratings-wise here in the starting 5 for the Hawks. 5-2 games, they work it around to Pereira, who will stroke a 3, 8-2, what a start by St. Joe's, imposing their will on the underdog UT-Martin. As Blaine Fry will take it the other way. Saunders back up to Easley, top of the key. That's Easley's favorite spot to shoot. Straight away, Easley will knock down his first 3-ball of the night, and then JT Pereira with a boneheaded turnover there. So now we have a chance to potentially make St. Joe's a little bit uncomfortable, just like they have been doing to us tonight so far, as Mike Remmers in the post will score, as he's their 2nd leading scorer on the roster at just over 10 points per game. So Blaine Fry and Chris Fay, they will have their work cut out for him tonight. Both Remmers and Breland Kitman, both very skilled with very strong frames as well, both making them tough guards, as now Saunders works with the ball on the deck as he knocks down that jump shot. Only his first make it 4 attempts, however. We got to get the senior going here early. 14-10, Hawks out front, as we see Chris Fay working this one around to Blaine Fry. Luke Lawton in the post as he works on JT Pereira, making the senior look silly, as Luke Lawton has really stepped it up down the stretch, averaging over 10 points per game in the last 4 games of this season. Very impressive as he looks to head into his senior year with some momentum. Now we see Matthew Weaver. He will drive and knock over Blaine Fry, who steps in and takes a charge. Love to see the little things, especially by Blaine Fry. He is a master of the intangibles. And even though both offenses have hit a bit of a wall, we haven't seen a field goal in almost 2 minutes. Still though, UT-Martin is playing up with St. Joe so far, but Oscar Blake there finds some pay dirt from the left flank, as Oscar Blake, another upperclassman for the St. Joe's team, he's their 6th man, as we see 3 reserve players check in for UT-Martin: Dominique Cleveland, Gardner, and Davion Baez. As those 3 players, they have a pretty nice set here, but Teron Gardner leaves the layup short. And St. Joe's, despite being a half-court type club, they are not afraid to get out in the open floor and make teams pay off of bad shots and turnovers forced, as Oscar Blake now has 5 unanswered points, but that one's taken away. A very smart double team brought there by Davion Baez, and Jock Diggs will check in as well, replacing the struggling Marcus Saunders so far today, as he's got his first field goal now, as Jock Diggs looks to become an upperclassman next year. 25-17 as now Hamilton will check in, make it 5 reserve players for the Skyhawks, as Hamilton runs a little pick and pop there with Teron Gardner. We'll draw a double team. Baez, he's open to stroke it with the shot clock winding down. No problem there for Baez, the senior, as he makes his first 3 in 2 attempts. Now 3:17 left to play as Blake goes inside to Justice Wellington. That one's tipped away. Another steal forced by UT-Martin, as here comes Hamilton to Jock Diggs with the lob. As these 2 guys, the next game that UT-Martin loses, those 2 guys will immediately become the starting backcourt after having Easley and Saunders for the last 4 years. And we all know the story of Hamilton and Diggs. They are so intertwined. 2 peas in a pod, those guys on the floor. Now Matthew Weaver will drive, and there is a nice defensive possession until we see Mike Remmers. He will slam it in standing straight up. What power displayed there by the senior, as he's up to 9 points. 29-22 as Blaine Fry tries to respond quickly, as he'll draw the foul on Justice Wellington. And now Blaine Fry will step up to the line. He's still without a field goal, as actually Blaine Fry and Chris Fay have been struggling to find any separation. And UT-Martin, we've seen this a little bit down the stretch. Sometimes they'll force the issue on the perimeter, and when they go away from the post game, they become pretty one-dimensional, so they got to try to find some easy looks down low to Fay and Fry. Now Oscar Blake will try to isolate, and he throws that one off of the side of the backboard, and now almost turning it over is Hamilton, but no harm, no foul. We still have possession. We just got to be a lot more mindful of the length that these Hawks have. And now we see Hamilton not scared after almost turning it over, as he cuts the lead down to 3. He had Remmers on him, and he just gave him a little cross and exploded, knocking over Justice Wellington as well. 31-26, UT-Martin still hanging around. They're playing up tonight so far, as this will be their last possession on offense here in the first half, down by 5. We see Blaine Fry will draw a double, perfectly executed, Lawton wide open as he hits a 15-footer to take us into the half. But wait 1 second, still 31-26. This shot did not count, and if you'll see the shot clock at the top of your screen, it hits all zeros right around, let's see, here, and I don't know, that one looked pretty good. I thought Lawton got that one off in time, but the refs unfortunately thought otherwise. So we'll head into the intermission, still down by 5. And if only the refs didn't jip us out of that last shot, we'd only be down 1 possession. But nonetheless, UT-Martin, they scrapped and clawed their way back into the game despite coming out pretty flat. But to be honest, neither offenses look that sharp. St. Joe's has 17 turnovers and UTM has 4 while shooting in the low 40 percentile. But slowly the team play has looked better, and UT-Martin started shooting better when taking their time on offense. Easley had a quick start and leads us with 7 points with an assist and a steal. However, Saunders is only 1 of 5, and both those guys are fighting to extend their careers. And Diggs was a spark with 4 huge points off the bench. We're only 2 for 7 from 3, so unless we heat up, we're going to keep having to find lanes to draw some free throws, as the Skyhawks are 6 for 8 from the line, and that helped them give themselves a chance. JT Pereira has 8 points on 3 for 4 shooting, but Lawton found his defensive bearings quickly. We haven't heard from JT in a while, as Lawton's starting to step up. Instead, it's been Mike Remmers and Bleedland Kittman who combined for 10 points and 6 rebounds. As we see, there is Easley from the top of the key, making that shot. There's his favorite spot once again. And speaking of Remmers and Kittland, we see Remmers out in the open floor once again. Chris Fay and Blaine Fry, they've just been getting outmatched on both sides of the ball, and they're going to need to wake up, because it's really been the interior game that's been the X factor for St. Joe's. And speaking of the interior, we see Blaine Fry finally go inside. He goes back door on Breland Kittman. Nice feed from Saunders, his second assist. And if Blaine Fry can knock down this free throw, we'll only be down by 2. So UTM knocking on the door as Blaine Fry knocks it down. And he has improved to 3 for 3 from the charity stripe tonight, but then Fry trying to go back inside. He gives this one away. Team turnover number 7 for UT-Martin. Just too common of an occurrence here tonight as Devin Johnson, the point guard, he'll try to find his own shot. No good. Blaine Fry, only rebound number 2 there on the night, but it's an important one because it will set up a free lane for Marcus Saunders to do some damage on the transition opportunity. So 40-36 now. UT-Martin still hanging around, still playing tough with St. Joe's as Saunders has a lane to do some damage on the baseline. Way to go, Saunders. Already 6 points here in the second half for him. And you can see right here, he thought about the corner tray. As we all know, he's so deadly from that spot, but he thinks better of it and goes inside just like Coach Carter wants him to. Now we dwindle the game down rather, to 8:23 left to play as Saunders will operate. Now slicing the defense down the heart of the paint. Great screen there from Chris Fay at the elbow. And Saunders, he's got 9 of his 11 points here in the second half, so he's really starting to step up as St. Joe's tries to go back door to Devin Johnson as he misses yet another shot. Blaine Fry with rebound number 5. 4 of those have come in the second half. 8 minutes left to play as Chris Fay goes inside. A powerful move there past Mike Remmers, and Chris Fay finally has his first field goal. He hit a free throw earlier, but he's been held to no field goal so far tonight. He's been blanked by Remmers, but finally he gets on the board, and finally this game's back tied up. We've been waiting for that one, but immediately that inbound play ran to perfection by the St. Joe's Hawks as we see JT Pereira capitalizing on the and one. UT-Martin trying to battle back after being down double figures early on in this game as they have once again a chance to tie it up, and Jacques Diggs will find pay dirt from the right flank. Jacques Diggs up to 7 points as he really stepped out. That was a bomb there from the right wing. 45 up now as Justice Wellington operates down in the low post as Teron Gardner swats his shot attempt back, and Lawton receives the baseball pass from Easley, and UTM finally finds themselves back out in front. Their first lead of the night actually, as JT Pereira will try to retake it as he goes toe-to-toe here with Lawton trying to isolate. He receives a screen. Johnson back out to JT, who strokes it from about 30 feet out. What range this senior has. He's up to 14 on the night. 48-47 Hawks lead with 5:40 left to go. Here's Diggins, the backup center, as he will draw a double. Back out to Pereira, back-to-back threes as the St. Joe's Hawks immediately take back the lead and then some. Now a 4-point deficit as Easley works it into Blaine Fry. Behind the back pass, Chris Fay goes inside to Davion Baez, who smokes the easy layup. Come on, Davion Baez, we need every point we can get at this stage in the ball game. Baez is in right now because Lawton needs a breather. He's been really using a lot of energy trying to do whatever he can to stop JT Pereira, and without Lawton on the floor for these last couple minutes, Pereira has been really lighting up the scoring column. He's up to 19, and the lead for the Hawks is up to 6 as now Pereira swats Saunders. Oh man, what a rejection, but the good news is we still have the possession with plenty of time to work with. 25 seconds left to shoot as Saunders. He will try to run a pick and roll with Chris Fay to no avail as he's actually trapped, almost loses it, and then coughs it up. Diggins records the steal. Matthew Weaver, he's scanning the floor looking for his teammates. Psych, he'll take this one by himself. A deceptive move there, freeing him up, and Weaver's now up to 8 points. And the St. Joe's Hawks with 9 unanswered points. And this is not the time in the game when you want to see a run relinquished. Only 4:16 left to play as Saunders will try to make better of this possession. A crossover, tries to bounce past it to Chris Fay, and this one's taken away. Another turnover by Saunders, but we get it back. Marcus from the baseline will actually work this one to Easley. He thinks better of it, and Easley now forces it. Chris Fay, though, he's on the glass, and it's complete chaos now on the floor as Chris Fay coughs it up. Now 10 team turnovers for UT-Martin, and no mistake this time. St. Joe's will make good on that transition basket thanks to Matthew Weaver, and now it's 11 unanswered points. We finally force a stop, 58-47, as you're starting to see the St. Joe's Hawks really starting to make UTM frustrated and forcing themselves into their own mistakes. But finally Dwight Easley, he's up to 11 points. Nice crossover he put on the big fella. Really running out of time, having to work against the clock. 59-49 now, 2:42 left to play. And we saw Easley start the game so hot, he's got a little cold here, but we'll still run a play through him as he knocks that one down in the face of two Hawks defenders. As we got this game back under double digits, and Easley finally gets himself back into the scoring column, a near steal there as the Hawks regain possession as Devin Johnson works it inside. Pereira from the elbow, Weaver from three, and that one is luckily missed as Blaine Fry records rebound number 6. Easley, nice pass into Lawton. He'll try to float this one in, but he hits nothing but back iron as Breland Kittman soars over, records the rebound, and JT Pereira weaves his way through multiple Skyhawk defenders. This is up to 21 points now. It is not looking good for UT-Martin. Down by 9, under 2 minutes to go, as Saunders will go across the key here, and he will draw a foul from Mike Remmers. So that's exactly what the doctor ordered now, as with the clock stopped, we can see Marcus Saunders hopefully knock down a couple free throws to inch our way closer to a comeback, as Saunders will actually miss the first one. Saunders this year has actually been his lowest percentage from the free throw stripe. He only shoots 71% here in his senior year. He does knock down the second one, but unfortunately that would be the last point scored in Marcus Saunders' career, as we're under 21 seconds left to play, as this free throw would be good by Matthew Weaver, who's had a big second half for the Hawks. Down by 10 is UT-Martin, as Saunders will try once again. That one's short, tipping no good. Third time's the charm, however, for Blaine Fry there on the glass, but all in all, just too little too late for the UT-Martin Skyhawks, as year 4, once again, another heartbreaking loss to end it. And as we saw here in the Morehead State game, Coach Carter will sub in Davion Baez and Gene Schofield to give the last 4 seniors from his year 1 team his original lineup one last possession, and it ends in a Marcus Saunders miss. 65-55 will be your final here tonight, as the UT-Martin Skyhawks, they went cold there. There was a stretch there in the second half where they just could not buy a bucket, and they relinquished way too many turnovers. We saw St. Joe's and how deadly they were. A very athletic team, a lot of length on defense. And we did a good job for the most part, really cutting down on our turnovers, but there was just a 2 to 3 minute window there in the second half where we got really complacent and played right into St. Joseph's hands. Too many turnovers there in the second half. Dwight Easley finishes his college career with 14 points. Marcus Saunders had 12. Neither guy really shot the ball the best in either game, the elimination game against Morehead State and now here in St. Joe's. And meanwhile, JT Pereira, he recorded 21 points. And taking a look at the NIT bracket, we would have faced the 2-seeded New Mexico Lobos, which St. Joe's, they really did a good job hanging around in that game. They only lost by 3. And New Mexico actually took down the number 1 seed from our region, the Iowa State Cyclones, beat the Cyclones by 5 there. Then moving on to the Final 4 of the NIT, the Lobos fall to the 3 seed of the top region, the Miami Hurricanes. So we would have been in for a battle against the Hurricanes if we were able to sneak out of our region. And as we see the Final 4 here of the NIT, Miami, New Mexico, Minnesota, and St. Louis, and the Hurricanes will knock off the Billikens of St. Louis by 11. So as we see here in the next episode, Morehead State was actually awarded a 15 seed in March Madness. They'll take on the Louisville Cardinals. And that'll be it, guys, for the careers of Marcus Saunders, Dwight Easley, Davion Baez, and Gene Schofield. Those 4 players were the last 4 remnants of Coach Carter's first ever team here at UT-Martin. So beginning next season, we'll have all new players, no more original players. And in the next episode, we'll be hopping into year 4's offseason, where we finally say goodbye officially to Dwight Easley and Marcus Saunders. Thank you so much for clicking on the video today. Hope you had a good time. I'm actually excited to hop into the year 4 offseason. A lot of mixed emotions for sure, saying goodbye to those 2 very impactful players here on the program. But I'm ready to turn over a new leaf here in the offseason and finally see what Jacques Diggs and Pierre Hamilton can do as they step in to that starting backcourt role. And for the first time since really the beginning of year 1, we're not going to see either Dwight Easley or Marcus Saunders in that starting 5 there in the backcourt. So a lot of changes will be happening this offseason. I'm excited. Stay tuned for it here on College Sports Revived.